Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, globalization impacts all our lives, from the clothes we wear to the food we eat. We have more choices now at better prices than ever before, but there is a flip side to living in a global economy. This week on Oklahoma Horizon, we will look at how global commerce has brought new diseases to our shores.
PED's had a tremendous impact on our industry in terms of productivity.
And then we'll see how one Oklahoman is taking a new career path due to changes in our economy.
I would probably want to own more than one salon because I kind of want money, you know.
We'll meet an entrepreneur brewing up a tea with a twist who gives us some hints on how you can make the perfect glass every time.
Woo, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. If you boil the tea with the tea bags, you will have nasty tea in about 2 minutes.
And we'll end our day with a new art exhibit that is framing history at the state capitol. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, with the world's attention focused on the spread of the Ebola virus in parts of West Africa, it's easy to forget there are other foreign diseases that, while not as deadly, have spread into this country, causing economic impacts. Today, we begin by looking at biosecurity and the work underway to keep us safe. And we start with the constant threat of pandemics.
Suffering from the deadly Ebola virus.
With no known cure and only experimental treatment, the Ebola virus has ravaged parts of West Africa. With a 90% mortality rate, doctors and nurses wear protective suits when dealing with the sick. An outbreak, U.S. health officials say, has a low probability of ever spreading into this country. Yet we have seen such a pandemic before. In the waning days of World War I, soldiers started getting sick with a flu that killed. Before it was over, millions had died worldwide from a pandemic that only ended after the disease had run its natural course. Today, we do have new medicines, but we also have new vulnerabilities. International travel and trade can make the spread of a disease as easy as an airplane ride away. And while past scares like avian flu never materialized into the worldwide pandemic many had feared, epidemiologists say a global outbreak is less of a question of if and more of a question of when.
And it's not just human health officials are worried about. Consider this. In 2001, the animal disease foot and mouth was discovered in the United Kingdom. Before it was all over, 6 million animals had to be destroyed at a cost of close to $4 billion, all for a disease that's not even a danger to humans. Yet it played economic havoc with markets all across Europe. Now, such biosecurity issues are a constant concern for the food industry, and pork producers here in this country are just the latest to feel the effects. Joining me now from outside a Payne County swine barn is our Andy Barth.
Well, Rob, hogs are extremely susceptible to disease of any kind, and a virus called porcine epidemic diarrhea, or PED, is taking its toll on hog farms around the state. And because there's not a lot of known information about this rapidly spreading virus, U.S. hog production is shrinking, causing prices at the grocery store to soar.
From bacon to hot dogs, the hog industry has created a huge demand for pork. But thanks to a virus called porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, or PED, filling that demand is proving difficult.
PED's had a tremendous impact on our industry in terms of productivity.
Oklahoma Pork Council's executive director, Roy Lee Lindsay.
I would estimate that we've lost something close to 450,000 baby pigs in the state over the last 12 months.
A devastating number that has dropped Oklahoma's hog production to below 2 million. the lowest number Oklahoma has seen in over a decade, and a reality that consumers are feeling at the checkout counter.
Prices have gone up, and anytime you have a reduction in supply and your demand stays constant, you're going to see an increase in price. That's what most consumers notice, is that their pound of bacon costs a little bit more, their package of pork chops costs a little bit more.
Certainly devastating for our pocketbooks, but according to Roberts Ranch's Merle Mortensen, farm workers feel the impact in other ways.
We train people to be good stewards of the animals and take good care of them, and when they see these little baby pigs with, a terminal illness that you can't do anything about, it's really hard on them.
And while the disease has a 100% mortality rate among hogs, Lindsay says consumers are completely safe.
There's no impact to human health here, so no reason for people to be concerned at all about enjoying bacon or enjoying their pork chop. There's no food safety issues here at all.
PED has many unknowns. It is believed to have entered the U.S. from China, but that information has yet to be confirmed. And Mortensen says steps must be taken to protect the pork industry from future threats.
Our government needs to figure out how this virus got into this country. Because if this virus came in from China, other viruses can come in. Foot and mouth, other things like that that'll be even more devastating. The financial impact, we all understand that. It was devastating, but we can all get through that. What we can't stand is another virus of an even more magnitude that's even worse than this that gets into our country.
Bringing home the bacon, but at how high a cost?
Well, nationwide, there are nearly 8,000 farms infected by this virus, with nearly 500 affected farms here in Oklahoma. And that's just from volunteer reporting. But the United States Department of Agriculture has now required all farms and veterinarians to report any signs of PED.
So, Andy, what's being done to combat the virus, and are there any medications to give to the pigs?
Well, currently, Rob, there is a vaccine in place, but it does not cure the virus. It helps the pig fight off the infection and will hopefully save its life. And the Pork Checkoff Program and the USDA have pledged more than $30 million to help find a cure for this disease and hopefully bring a sigh of relief to the industry.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
Now, when we return, we'll take a look at how global competition and commerce is changing the American workplace.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, American manufacturing was the first to feel the pinch of globalization. Jobs shipped offshore in the 90s as manufacturers sought to lower their production costs. And it is a trend that hasn't stopped there. Everyone from computer programmers to engineers have found themselves outsourced in this new global economy, which is why when one Oklahoman lost his accounting job, he decided to strike out on a new path. Joining me now to tell us his story is the latest addition to the Oklahoma Horizon team, Courtney May.
Well, Rob, a former accountant's hobby is about to become his career. After receiving his bachelor's degree in accounting and working in the industry for 2 years, Emmanuel Perry's life took another turn, so he went back to school to become a cosmetologist.
From accountant to cosmetology student, at 28 years old, Emmanuel Perry's life changes styles.
I had a couple of jobs. In my last job, I was laid off, and everybody was telling me, you have such a good talent for hair. You should really pursue hair. And I was just like, I really like corporate America, the stability. And then with the job market changing the way it does, it's not really stable. So it just kind of afforded me the opportunity to go to school for this, something different.
A different approach to a lifelong interest.
I used to have long hair, believe it or not, and I used to get it braided, but only let like a couple of people braid it. So when I didn't get it braided, I would get it straightened. And this girl, she kind of like burnt a piece of my hair off. So I was like, man, I could probably burn my own hair out. I might as well try it myself. So I just started flat ironing my own hair, and it kind of went from there.
Perry's instructor, Sarah Rulford, says she immediately knew he was a natural.
He was born to do this thing. He loves it, and he's always been just, picks up really quickly on everything. There's nothing that he's not good at.
Good news for client Linda Keaton.
Oh my God, it was such a treat.
Perry says the experience he gained as an accountant still helps him in the styling chair.
It forces me to be disciplined. Like accounting is very cut and dry. It's either right or wrong. So I have a lot of discipline with making things happen, and it will help me with the salon if I do decide to open one in the future. I have the business background to hopefully run it real smooth and make it work well for me. I like it the way they have it set up because the other schools.
Not only do Perry and his classmates get a hands-on experience, they also learn the history of cosmetology and the theory behind it.
Well, we have different days. You know, some days we're in the lab initially, some days we're in the classroom. So it just depends. You know, if we go to the classroom, we have our book work that we have to do and study our theory and things like that. And then when we come into the lab, we have either mannequins and sometimes we have a few clients. The daytime isn't as busy, but we have clients and we, you know, do our perm roll-ups and we do color and flat irons and just different things that we have to do for hair.
Yeah. Rulford says Perry has more talent than even he realizes, and his opportunities in this industry are endless.
I don't think that he gives himself enough credit, and I don't think that he realizes what all he can do. Since he's come here, a lot of things have opened up his eyes to his future and what he is capable of doing.
Perry's goals are big for cosmetology, and every curl brings him one step closer to achieving his dream.
I would probably want to own more than one salon because I kind of want money, you know. And I'll also have my hands dipped in some other business fields, like maybe real estate or some type of venture like that to have multiple streams of income.
Perry says he will graduate debt-free from a highly respected program, which has opened a door of opportunities.
I mean, I think it gives you adequate training at a very reasonable price. I mean, it's like $5,000 to go here for cosmetology, and all the other schools are like $13,000 or more. So, I mean, it's very affordable. They teach you all you need to know. They're very helpful and they understand, you know, life happens, so they kind of work with you with life situations. So I think it's a very good program.
Do the curls.
And client Linda Keaton says she never leaves without a smile on her face.
Well, I came to him a couple of times before, and when he did my hair and he turned me around in the chair because I didn't get to see the whole time he was working on it. And when he turned me around, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it, I like it. Dang, that looks good.
She's probably not going to wash her
That
hair for
doesn't look like
3
me.
days.
Perry will graduate from the cosmetology program at Tulsa Technology Center in September, and several salons have already contacted Perry offering him a position once he finishes school.
So Courtney, let me ask you this. What is an average starting salary for a cosmetologist like Perry?
Well, when I spoke to Perry's instructor, Sarah Rulford, she explained to me that a starting salary for a cosmetologist in Oklahoma ranges anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 a year, and she said that number can increase significantly within the first 3 years of being in the industry, just depending on a person's skill level.
All right, thank you so much and welcome aboard.
Thank you, Rob.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, framing history at the state capitol. But first, an Oklahoma favorite with a twist.
Well, I'm a person who just can't turn down a good glass of iced tea. And when I was served one at a recent meeting, I knew I was not only drinking one of the best glasses ever, I'd also found a story. Our Lisa Hines tracked down the Oklahoma City entrepreneur and joins me now.
And Rob, what a tea it is. His tea is so good that he's had diabetics tell him they're willing to go into a diabetic coma just to get a drink. And I had a chance to have him show us how to mix up that perfect brew.
You boil the water, add your sweetener, and stir it up. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee you good sweet tea. According to tea maker Carlin Williamson, the base of a good tea starts with the water.
Most people think about the tea brand when it comes to making the sweet tea, but actually just as important as the tea is the spring water that you use, or the filtered water. I recommend spring or filtered water because it brings the natural tea flavor from even an ordinary tea. If you have bad tasting water, even with a great expensive tea, the tea can become bitter and dull tasting.
And Carlin says you certainly don't want to use distilled water, and here's why.
Have you ever had flat pop, a flat soda? It gives you that icky taste. Well, you can have an icky taste with flat tea, and that's why we don't recommend distilled water.
And there's a trick to making the tea.
The trick is you first boil the water. You take 4 cups of water, and then you put the water, let the boil with a semi-boil.
But don't dare boil the tea bag.
Woo, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. If you boil the tea with the tea bags, you will have nasty tea in about 2 minutes. And to get the best quality tea taste, you want to extend the tea time to 10 or 15 minutes. But you boil the water first, place the pot in the middle, off the heated stove, then you place the tea bags 10 to 15 minutes. And I recommend 3 to 4 family-sized tea bags per gallon.
But from here, Carlin says his recipe is a secret.
Yeah, the special ingredients we have a little, we have a different concoction of quality elements to bring that extra flavor.
Okay, he isn't going to share his secret recipe, so he'll just show us how it's made, starting with...
And now for the lemon.
Hold on. Stop with the lemon.
Business partner Michael Clark says the key to good sweet tea is their special sauce.
Try this.
Michael and Carlin tried lots of different recipes until they hit upon their secret sauce.
Would you like a taste?
I'll try it. Wow, this is some really good tea.
Yeah, I know it's good. I'm Michael Clark. This is not for sale, but this is.
And that's how Michael and Carlin say you buy their tea, by the gallon.
So Lisa, why did these two decide to become sweet tea entrepreneurs?
Well, Rob, it started as a challenge by Southerners who said Oklahomans could never make a tea as good as theirs. So Carlin and Michael stepped up to the challenge and created their perfect blend, which is the name of the tea. And here's the funny part. They aren't even tea drinkers. They'll drink it occasionally, but not a lot. Until now.
So where could someone taste their perfect blend?
You can just give them a call, and we have their number listed on our website under the story.
And you can find that at okhorizon.com. Thank you so much, Elisa.
You're welcome, Rob.
Well, getting a business like Michael and Carlin's up and running is no easy task, but there is help out there. CareerTech offers adult and career development programs, usually short-term and held in the evenings at local technology centers. Now, some specifically are designed to help Oklahoma entrepreneurs needing to upgrade or expand current work skills. Now, several local tech centers also have business incubators that help startups get off the ground. Now, if you'd like to learn more, we do have links to a local tech center near you on our website, plus some success stories I think you may find interesting. Just head to okhorizon.com and look under this week's Value Added.
Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV, or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes.
When Charles Ford was elected to the state legislature in 1966, most all of the walls in the state capitol stood bare. In today's Oklahoma Standard, we honor a now retired lawmaker who has led the way in framing the history of the Oklahoma State Capitol.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, for years, Oklahoma's state capitol didn't say much.
Our best artwork was some $25 prints and some $85 frames.
And for longtime lawmaker and art lover Charles Ford, that was unacceptable.
So I decided to just go out and hire an artist to do something historical about Tulsa, which was the Washington Irving when he came through Tulsa in 1832, and he visited with the Osage.
And with that donation began an effort to make the Oklahoma State Capitol not just the seat of government, but a source of state pride.
Once I did this, a number of senators had come to me and said, you know, I'd like to do something historical about my community. And I said, fine. All we need is money, and then I'll find an artist.
And so began an effort to frame Oklahoma's diverse history, mixing historical portraits with picturesque landscapes from across the state, each representing a place or a time pivotal in Oklahoma history.
That we all can remember, this is Lois Scipio Fisher, who broke the color code at the law school at OU. This is Thurgood Marshall, Amos Hall from Tulsa lawyer. And Mike Wimmer, he does such wonderful things. How'd you like to have to paint the fabric of that coat?
Oh, it's so realistic.
How about this fabric here? You know, he just...
Wonderful artist.
He is just so talented.
And today, the Senate Art Collection has grown to 198 works worth in the millions of dollars, each unique for not just their artistry, but their subject matter.
Every time we do a painting, we do a lot of research before we ever get started. We try to do the costumes, any gun or firearm that happens to be, wagon or saddle or whatever.
Accurate portrayals that often include some familiar faces when the historical details are lacking.
It's about the Osage Treaty of 1825 that moved the Osage back into Kansas and allowed the Cherokee and the Creeks to move into Oklahoma.
Now, certainly some historical significance here, but also some personal significance.
Well,
too.
I am pictured into it as one of the models. And I haven't aged in 175 years.
You're looking pretty spry there. You are.
An artistic tribute to a longtime Oklahoma lawmaker and his campaign to make the halls and galleries of the state capitol a glimpse into Oklahoma's heritage.
Well, all the paintings Senator Ford showed us are on display until October 25th at the newly opened Oklahoma State University Museum of Art in downtown Stillwater. And I had a chance to visit with the museum's director, Victoria Rowe-Berry.
The purpose of the museum is a teaching museum. So we're passionately dedicated to providing programs for our students of all ages, and engage them in exhibitions that celebrate our heritage, like Framing History does, or provoke questions and are really very much a part of curriculum and learning experiences, as well as a cultural entity for Stillwater. Art is not cheap, and it has to be carefully chosen, but we do have, a majority of our collection has been through gifts. Burns Hargis, our president, has been a great advocate for the arts, and we do it by the kindness of people's hearts. They're so thrilled that this is happening. What will the collection be 10 years from now? I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can tell you is that we're exploring what we should do. What's the responsibility we have? We should pay attention to our regional artists. We should have a fair representation of who's here. Native American artists, you know, what comprises the population and the community of Oklahoma. We really want our objects to be able to enhance the learning experience. We have a visible storage spot here, right here in the museum, that allows us to give people a glimpse into what we do behind the scenes. We have a visiting artist program funded by Ken and Marianne Ferguson, and what that's allowed us to do is bring in an artist that will work with students over a period of time. So artists will come in, meet the students, we'll set up a program, and the students will go back and forth with that artist, like they did with Yadika Fields. We have a mural here on the wall. Yadika was born here in Stillwater and raised and graduated from Stillwater High School. He went on to Brooklyn and worked in New York for a good while. His style is very interesting. He's very much a live painting, action painting, and he has now returned to this area. As a teaching collection, we really feel responsible to bring in a diversity of objects, and those objects can serve all kinds of educational purposes. It's all about teaching. It's all about providing opportunities to learn and for people to gather. We really, really want to explore what's happening in the art world now for our students to really learn from, have access to those new technologies that are so important for their future.
Well, the Framing History exhibit will be on display through October 25th. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, with another college football season underway, we look at the life off the field of an Oklahoma coaching legend.
He was a very concerned father that demonstrated just an immense amount of love and support for both of his sons.
Letters from a father to a son on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, we are out of time. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.